Cuplak-cuplak suwange tinggal lenter, membuka tondong kuda, pak empong lerak-lere sopong guyun dele ake sirpong dele kopong sirpong dele kopong. Ampar pisangku belum masak sabigi diurung bari-bari manggalepok patah kayu pengkok dimakan apinya cangcurupan. Rasa sayangi lihat dari jauh, rasa sayangi Honke riro, honke jome riro, honke riro, honke jome riro.
Semoga karya ini bisa mewakili seluruh kecintaan kita terhadap Indonesia. Berdoa mulai. Indonesia, mari!
Manikan di berjoget semua di kotam dia menyanyi sebab mengkar jula seksi batu manikan di berjoget semua di kotam dia menyanyi sebab mengkar jula Cuplak-cuplak suwange tinggal lenter, membuka tondong kuda, pak empong lerak-lere sopong guyun dele ake sirpong dele kopong sirpong dele kopong. Ampar pisangku belum masak sabigi diurung bari-bari manggalepok patah kayu pengkok dimakan apinya cangcurupan. Rasa sayangi lihat dari jauh, rasa sayangi lihat dari jauh, rasa sayangi.
There's some entrance field from national sites.
Selamat pagi, Bapak, Ibu.
Terinspirasi dari kucingnya, seorang musisi yang tak pernah sukses bikin lagu dan viral. Disiulin sama peternak sapi yang bikin susunya banyak, dijual online. Lagu keras, diminum sama gamer yang menang kompetisi, dia bikin dance, viral. Seorang tukang pecel juga nariin, dia diajak main film. Dan filmnya lagu keras.
Gimana rasanya?
Buka semua peluang. Ini Adit, dari kecil udah bikin 200 lagu yang denger cuman keluarganya, tetangga, dan kucing piaraannya yang suka rengginang. Malam itu, dia bikin lagu, unggah ke internet, lalu duar, viral. Ini Firdaus, bapaknya petani kaya, tapi cuman warisin dia sapi-sapi stres. Ternyata lagu Adit punya nada yang bikin sapi rileks banget. Tak lama, Firdaus jualan online. Langsung sold out di mana-mana. Susu Firdaus juga diminum Tika yang bukan cuma kasih dia tenaga, tapi juga api membara. Dance sekalipun dilakuin semua orang, termasuk Nenek Anissa. Saya mau dia main film kita.
Nenek Anissa, nonton film sudah jutaan. Gimana rasanya?
Buka semua peluang.
Mod, ada gunting nggak di situ, Mod? Ambil dulu gunting.
Muhammad Jumadi adalah satu dari sekitar 700 nelayan rajungan di pulau ini. Setiap pagi ia pergi melaut menarik bubu atau perangkap rajungan yang telah ia pasang kemarin.
Jadi alat tangkap perikanan rajungan, salah satunya bubu, banyak dioperasikan di perikanan rajungan di Indonesia. Bentuk bubu ini juga bermacam-macam. Ada yang berbentuk kubah, ada yang bentuk bujur sangkar, dan ada yang bisa dilipat dan tidak dilipat. Jika dibandingkan dengan alat tangkap yang lain, bubu termasuk yang sangat sedikit tangkapan sampingannya, dan juga tidak akan menangkap tangkapan sampingan yang termasuk endangered ataupun protected, karena dia memang celahnya kecil yang hanya dikhususkan untuk rajungan.
Besarnya potensi dan pemanfaatan rajungan di Indonesia mendorong Asosiasi Pengelolaan Rajungan Indonesia atau APRI terus melakukan perbaikan pada perikanan rajungan.
FIP atau Fishery Improvement Project atau program pengembangan perikanan rajungan di Indonesia ini adalah perangkat yang digunakan untuk memantau apakah aktivitas perikanan kita ini termasuk lestari atau tidak.
Kementerian Perencanaan Pembangunan Nasional atau Bappenas dan United Nations Development Program UNDP melalui proyek Global Sustainable Supply Chain for Marine Commodities mendukung percepatan FIP rajungan yang dikoordinir oleh APRI ini.
Dari dalam FIP ini akan dipantau tentang status stoknya, terus dampak terhadap lingkungan dan habitat lainnya, dan juga program pengelolaannya. Jadi ini akan melibatkan dari tingkat nasional, provinsi sampai ke daerah, sampai desa.
Salah satu kunci dari perbaikan perikanan ini adalah pendataan.
Kerja saya di sini mencatat hasil tangkapan nelayan, mulai dari biologinya terkait panjang, berat, dan jenis kelaminnya, itu kita data semua. Kita juga mengumpulkan data NTS, non-target spesies, untuk keperluan pengkajian stok di perikanan ranjungan. Itu untuk melihat masih layak nggak ranjungan ini ditangkap, atau daerah ini masih layak nggak untuk dilakukan aktivitas penangkapan ranjungan.
APRI juga menerapkan kontrol dokumen untuk memastikan ketelusuran produk.
Nah, kontrol dokumen ini ada semacam dokumen yang akan jalan dari rantai titik terbawah sampai ke ekspor. Ini penting untuk mengetahui dari proses ketertelusuran tadi.
Kontrol dokumen itu kita lakukan memang tujuannya ada dua, yaitu mengenai traceability dan ujungnya sustainability. Dengan traceability maka pihak konsumen diharapkan bisa mengetahui dari mana bahan baku ranjungan itu ditangkap, nanti kemudian menggunakan kapal dengan ukuran berapa, ya kan, dari alat tangkap seperti apa. Jadi semuanya itu terrekord.
Tujuan dari sertifikasi eco-label seperti MSC itu sebenarnya pertama adalah kita memastikan bahwa kita sudah dalam ranah sustainability. Terus yang kedua adalah meningkatkan kepercayaan kepada para buyer terhadap ranjungan yang berasal dari Indonesia. Terus yang ketiga meningkatkan mutu dan juga value.
Tidak hanya menjadi produk unggulan nasional, perikanan ranjungan juga menjadi tumpuan ekonomi bagi ratusan ribu masyarakat pesisir.
Jadi pengelolaan perikanan ranjungan di Indonesia itu harus kolaboratif, inklusif. Memastikan kita sudah punya harvest strategi, mengajak nelayan untuk tetap mematuhi aturan pemerintah dan menangkap dengan alat ramah lingkungan.
Saya mengharapkan stakeholder industri ranjungan di Indonesia ini kompak, karena dengan demikian maka kita bisa memperbaiki stok ranjungan yang ada di laut. Harapannya ranjungan bisa sustainable.
Soalnya gue banyak.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to International Conference on Marine Science ICMS 2021. The topic for ICMS today is Marine Science and Technology Contributions to the Sustainable Development Goal Life Below Water. Thank you for spending time with us today. It's a precious chance for me, Trifty Krota, to be the master of ceremony of ICMS. I would love to praise Allah for His blessings. Hence, we can be together at this conference, which held by Departments of Marine Science and Technology, Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Sciences, IPB University. We are pleased to invite you to pray in a minute. Finish. Ladies and gentlemen, ICMS is attended by government, researchers, educational institutions, and students. Previously, ICMS was held once in every 4 years. However, now ICMS is here for us once in every 2 years. ICMS is supported by Telkomsel and APRI. We'd like to thank them for the wonderful support. We appreciate Telkomsel and APRI for making the ICMS happen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to inform you that we have the moderator, Professor Dr. Johnson Lumban Gao from IPB University. Professor Dr. Engineer Johnson Lumangao took his postdoctoral at Colorado Center for Astrodynamics Research, Colorado University, United States. He completed his bachelor, magister, and doctoral at IBB University. Now he is the coordinator of Marine Technology Graduate Program, IBB University. Moreover, he's been the scientific committee member of Pan Ocean Remote Sensing Conference since 2012. Professor Johnson Lumangao, you are welcomed to lead this conference.
Johnson masih mute.
Thank you, host. Good morning, selamat pagi, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. I'm going to start this morning session. We have 5 invited speakers. They are going to share interesting information and knowledge to us. I will make sure all the presenter here. Hopefully, I will compare to brief 5 speakers today. I think the first speaker is Professor Fadli, and the second speaker, Dr. Ahmad Faisal, and the third speaker, Dr. Sanyan Panson Liu, and the fourth, Dr. Eko Siswanto. The last invited speaker is Dr. Agus Atmadipura. Dr. Fadli from Pajajaran University, and Associate Professor Ahmad Faisal from Malaysia University, and Dr. Sanyan Fans Liu from Sun Yat-sen University, Taiwan. Dr. Eko Siswanto from Jamstec, Japan, and Dr. Agus Atmadipura from IPB, Department of Marine Science. So the first speaker, I'd like to present the brief curriculum vitae. Professor Dr. Fadil Samsudin. His expertise is IRC interaction and to climate change. His education, postdoctoral fellow at the Royal Netherlands Institute for Research, Netherlands, and Doctor Engineering from Hiroshima University, Master in Physical Oceanography Modeling from Rutgers University, New Jersey, USA, and Bachelor from ITB Bandung. He have a lot of experience. For example, principal investigator related to IRC interaction to climate change. And now, during work in ITB from 2012 until now. And then chief scientist on research vessel Mirai conducting ocean atmospheric research in Indonesian water during 2017 until 2018. Also, Professor Fadli working in BPPT from 1993 until now. I think to shorting time, I would like to invite Professor Fadli to present your talk. Time is yours.
Thank you very much, moderators, my colleagues, Professor Johnsons, and also for the all IDEN ISO 259. Actually, it's very glad actually together with all of you here. So my talk here, my slide is already appear.
Okay.
Okay, good. So I just start. This is a new proposed method for feedstock assessment using innovative coastal acoustic tomography. This is the frontier technology we thought in being using acoustic, applying for the stock assessment. So just to outline its milestone, the first one, what we have done already in the coastal acoustic tomography application in the Indonesian seas. And the second one is the proposal to use this, and in this coming next month, we will apply this in the Balabalakang Island in the Makassar Strait. So just shorts. So the application of the coastal acoustics tomography actually relatively new in terms of the marine instruments in oceanography. This is introduced by Walter Monks in Scripps Institution of Oceanography in 1970s. They call it this as ocean acoustic actually technology at that time, temperature or something like that at that time. And Professor Arata Kaneko in the Hiroshima University developed this for the application in the coastal region. They call CATS, Coastal Acoustic Tomography.
Mute, sorry, you're still mute. Maybe committee can help him. Professor Padley, you still mute.
This is actually just is here already?
Yes, yes, okay.
Yeah, okay. And the principle actually, we use the reciprocals of the sound transmission among the place of the acoustic station like this. So we use this kind of like transmission lines and applying statistics to calculate like inverse method to calculate velocity, temperature, and any parameters in the ocean in the whole water columns. The simple principle is like that. And we just show you quite quickly the first trial of this CATS experiment in June, actually, the first June in the Bali Strait. Why Bali Strait? Because we understand we have a very strong swift current actually in the Bali Strait, and many accident happens in this very narrow strait. And this is the topography actually quite complicated, just hundreds meter depth bathymetry, but the profiles of the bathymetry very complicated. So this is the challenging actually, and we choose Bali Strait to conduct the experiment. So the ray transmission actually quite complicated because in the surveys, yeah, if we saw this, it's mostly no sound transmission. It means that we cannot derive some kind of data of the blank spot or shadow zones area. But anyway, this is the transmission from a line between B4 in the Bali side and between Java Strait or something like that. And we derive the computation, and then finally we can make a plot with very high resolution actually using this tomography, this for transmission line, yeah, for station. And using the pair of this transmission, we can derive this kind of like current field, three-dimensionally actually. I just saw you this in the survey. And the second one is we try to use also the one important application using this tomography. We try to kind of like make a detection of the submarine in the using some experiment in the Sunda Strait in 2017, and yeah, we finally succeeded to catch some kind of like a detection of this. So if you see, this is the signal of yeah, 1 and 2 of these kind of like submarines. This is like a fish actually. We can detect using this technology to detect moving objects underwater. and we can trace the movements of this submarine, and this is actually the real situation of the submarine, and we can detect this by this technology. And also the third experiment in the Lombok Strait, we also succeeded to capture what's so-called solitary waves, solitons, in the Lombok Strait, and published already in the GRL in 2019. So some our experiment already published in this journal, mostly geophysical research letters, both in the Bali and Lombok Strait. So I just going directly to the how we use this technology for the pitstop assessment. This is very challenging because so far we calculate the we have the numbers of this pitstop assessment in Indonesia now, like 12.4, if I don't mistake, a million for a kilogram or something like that in years. So we try to introduce using this directly to calculate, not from the satellite or something like that. So the methodology is actually quite simple. We use just we call coastal acoustic profilers. So I mean using backscatter. So we put two cats to instrument. I mean in the coastal, and we just send the signal, the sound transmission, and using the backscatter, to calculate, to identify where is the fish coordinates or location. Using applying the triangulation uses should be have at least two station in the coastal, and this is quite some simple description about this. So we just put some our cats, coastal acoustic tomography in the coast, and then we try to put this. So the signal we will process like this. This is just theory how the detection thresholds we put this, and then also the frequency. We try actually in our instrument in the office is our frequency is about 10 kilohertz. And if we put some numbers, actually, we can get, if the, say like the, as a rough estimate for 1 kilometer detection, I mean, from the coastal, and for the 100 centimeter or 1 meter piece length or something like that, that may be possible with the detection threshold about 10 decibel on our calculation. And this is still actually a concept, a method that we will apply soon for the experiment in this coming month in the Balabalakang Island. So this is kind of theory, and we put how the frequency we identify, and then put some the thresholds of the our acoustic frequency, and the same like this. So we put already actually the experiment using the research probe from the RISTEC in 2016, and we did in the Hiroshima University at that time. I did this kind of experiment and then try to calculate how many fish in this small pond, small in the front actually office of the engineering Togakubu in the Hiroshima, and they have this small piece, and you can see this actually. This is a golden fish or something like that. They're just swimming, and then we try to calculate to detect this. And this is just the data processing, and some signal we apply, we calculate, and then we already, I will show you later in few minutes how much fish actually we can calculate. But anyway, this kind of like a fish we can identify, and then we calculate how also the movement. And another one we try still in Hiroshima University using the just horizontally. Our instrument just send horizontally to the ponds in Yamanaka Ike ponds, the names, and we try also to count to detect by the backscattering again. This is just I think we can share this if someone any group interesting with that with this method, we can discuss together and or learn from this note. This is just note I show you. I just keep this. I just let this, and this is kind of a sample that we can actually calculate the with this detection with a strong signal, yeah, of this fees. So I think that's all that's I want to present. And this is our instrument with the 10 kilohertz. It's very quite simple, the transducer, and this is the main boards. And we apply this in the at that time in the this is in the Bali Strait. And next month we try to go on this Balabalakak Island in the Makassar Strait and try to conduct feedstock assessment in this island. That's all, Professor Johnson's my talk today.
Thank you very much for interesting talk. I will discuss after all speaker give a presentation.
Okay.
We move to the next. I hope Dr. Pali is still here until to discuss. We move to the next speaker. I will compare the curriculum vitae. Associate Professor Dr. Ahmad Faisal. His expertise vehicle dynamic simulation, optimization method for vehicle design, autonomous vehicle development, vibration and structure dynamic, high-speed craft designs. He got a PhD design optimization framework from high-speed planning prep, University New South Wales, Australia Defence Force Academy, bachelor from University Malaysia. He have a lot of experience, such as lecture associate professor in University Malaysia Terengganu from 2008 until now, and also research development engineering from Panasonic Air Condition Research Development Malaysia, and also mechanical engineering monitoring diagnosing technology from 2008, 2006 until 2007. I invite Dr. Ahmad Faisal to present your talk. Time is yours.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Chairman, Professor Johnson. I'll try to share my screen.
Please.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Professor Johnson. So my name is Ahmad Faisal from University of Malaysia Terengganu. And I'm from the Department of Maritime Technology and also Naval Architecture Program and Faculty of Ocean Engineering Technology and Informatics, University of Malaysia Terengganu. And the title for this morning is Artificial Intelligence Application in the Field of Marine Science and Maritime Technology. In recent years, we see that international scientific communities have shown massive interest in AI applications. This is evident from the continuous effort in a global movement called Industrial Revolution 4.0, where the field of marine science and maritime technology are huge contributors. So, for example, the underwater object detection, oceanographic prediction, and also autonomous vehicles. In this talk, historical development of artificial intelligence within the scope of marine science and maritime technology will be presented. Two relevant case studies shall be discussed within the scope of underwater object detection and also autonomous vehicle. And we see that while the world is moving forward, the application of robotics, Internet of Things, we're going to help marine science and maritime technology that have huge potential to push the barrier of the discipline concerning the challenge it faces. And all right, so next slide. So in this presentation, the guiding definition of AI shall be outlined. So I'm pretty sure that we want to know what are the basics. Later, we shall look at the trends in 2021, where we shall answer the question, which is having more complicated, deeper AI is necessary for high-performing model. And also a short overview of neural evolution will be discussed, followed by two case studies, which is autonomous navigation in restricted waters and also object detection using deep learning. Before that, I would like to introduce our university, University of Malaysia Terengganu, University by the Ocean, very beautiful university. So welcome to University of Malaysia Terengganu. We also like to share our recognition internationally, ranking of 195 in Asian University ranking. And also we have two higher institution of excellence, high COE, ENOS and also Aquatrop. So back to the presentation. So the definition of artificial intelligence. So humans are intelligent beings that are capable to sense their surrounding. We are able to reason, able to act. If a machine possesses these characteristics, it can be said that the machine is artificially intelligent. So this is the most basic example of AI, which is hard-coded. So the first AI must know how to sense its surrounding. Second, it must be able to reason using if-else statement, and later it can act using its own actuators, for example, motors or their sensors, motors or their servos and everything, things that move. Okay, so this kind of capability to mimic human is not enough because human is able to learn by itself. We are able to learn. Machines, something that we need to take care of. So a human is able to learn from mistake and make the right decision based on our memory. So this capability to learn based on data sets are called machine learning and also deep learning. So at this stage, we will start to ponder whether machine learning and deep learning are the same thing. So yeah, you are almost there. So here we start to understand machine learning can be seen as a dynamic rule-based technique that are able to manipulate, able to improve itself as they are exposed to more data over time. So the example of machine learning method is support vector machines that we typically use to split data automatically. So this is for clustering. Some variants of SVM may be in a form of neural network, but typically we agree that SVM is a machine learning method. In recent trend, deep learning has now defined as a multi-layer neural networks that learn from vast amount of data. So in artificial intelligence or machine learning or deep learning, there are two more subsets that people in the discipline incorporated in this work, which are supervised technique and also unsupervised technique. In this table, the types of AI that has been grouped into supervised and unsupervised AI. So there are some advantages and some disadvantages for each supervised and unsupervised method. For example, if you look at the accuracy of the results, supervised method give you highly accurate model, while unsupervised method give you less accurate model. So this is worthy of discussion. Both model give you trustworthy results, but the discussion lies in the generalization of the model. For example, you will need to accurately identify fish. Therefore, supervised method is the best. But if your AI is piloting a ship, driving a ship, it needs to generalize the situation while negotiating a corner. So you will not be able to reach it with the angles while making safe turn. Therefore, unsupervised method is the best for autonomous driving. So this is a typical artificial neural network. So what makes an ANN is good for generalized modeling is because it's building blocks that are based on weight, biases, and activation function. We can say ANN is very powerful that it consistently show high level of accuracy and can be made as shallow or as deep with additional characteristics. So an artificial neural network is considered as an individual. So this is the conventional neuroevolution or CNE. So we can look at the artificial neural network can be considered as an individual in a population generated by evolutionary algorithms such as genetic algorithm. So in this case study, each ANN can vary in terms of structure, the weight and biases. So the environment is being utilized as a platform to investigate the response of the agent, for example, autonomous vehicle, and can be set up in two ways, whether in physical environment or simulated environment. So the pseudocode is shown on the left. So that is for the mobile robot operating on the water surface. Okay. So we have a distance sensor. We have about 9 sensors and also data for velocity. So this is a highly nonlinear constraint optimization where the objective function is to maximize the number of distance or the checkpoints subject to a constraint, which is if the autonomous ship or autonomous boat hit the wall or hit obstacle, so we are going to discard that particular individual. And this generative algorithm will go on again and again for each, for example, for 600 generation, and we're going to pick the best to be the autonomous pilot. Before we go to the deeper on the results, I want to show how far we have come in AI in 2021 so that you can relate a lot in your research. So the most important ideas in the past 50 years are shown in the image in your front in your screen. So we see that typically there are lots of theories or concepts that being applied in the marine science and also maritime technology. For example, exploratory data analysis, multi-level models, robust inference. For this particular case, we are looking at the over-parameterized models and also regularization, genetic computation algorithm, and also using simulation-based inference. So it's not only when you try to design something that relates to maritime technology, it's not necessarily go into the sea. Especially during this pandemic, you can work inside a lab, inside a simulation environment to test your theory, and also you go to the sea afterwards. So you try to prove the concept in simulation environment. And one of the other concepts that are interesting in the field of AI, saying that what are the type of optimizer that are the best to be used inside of artificial neural network. So here we can see that the type of optimizer, if you have novel optimizer, for example, there are lots of optimizers like NADAM, RADAM, RMSprop, and everything. Typically, scientists will going to go to the most robust, most stable, which is ADAM. So always try to, if your concern is on the results of your case study, try to use the standard ones. So don't worry about other types of optimizer, just use ADAM. In this case, we are going to answer, is there any difference if we use more complicated neural network or less complicated neural network for the case of autonomous driving, for example? So we see that highly or deeper neural network, sometimes you're going to jeopardize your speed, also computation. So in driving, you want to be more accurate. You want to have your model to be simple. So the best neural network is the simplest neural network that capable to drive itself. For example, for the autonomous ship. So the case study number 1, this is autonomous piloting case study. So the objective is to create an AI that can sense the distance between the boat and also the barrier or obstacle. And the boat must have the capability to decide whether what kind of angle that it turns to avoid the obstacles and also avoid the barriers. So here the method we use simple artificial neural network. So this is the principal particulars of the typical hydrographic surveying ASV. So this is in the simulation environment. So this is the description of the algorithm. So we use generative algorithm, and generative algorithm is being used to create a vast amount of artificial neural network, and then we put it inside agents, lots of agents. So this the input that the agent takes is going to be steering and also the throttle. So the throttle and steering will going to move the actuators and see the boat will going to go forward and turn left and turn right, and take the sensor reading. So the sensor reading will going to be distance sensor and also the velocity and whether the ship is going to die because of hitting the obstacle or hitting the wall. And this is the view of the map from top. So here are the checkpoints where each of the agents, once they hit the checkpoints, they get more further to the front. So they are rewarded with marks or the number of checkpoints. So here we see that the sensors, we have 9 sensors, okay, F1 into F9, and also the F10 is the velocity. So this is conducted inside a mesh-based environment. So the main equations are buoyancy and also resistance. So we are assuming the water is calm water, so which means that there is no perturbation due to wave. This can be extended. So this is an opportunity to extend this work. And this is the training track. The description is it has 1 straight cruise. Okay, here the straight cruise, and then it has 4 sharp U-turns. Okay, this is the U-turns. And then 1 sharp 90-degree corner, and the width of the riverbank is 10 meters. The dimension of the track is 60-meter width and 100-meter length. So let's look at the results. So here we see that the boat is able to maneuver itself autonomously So we see the boat is trying to reduce the velocity while taking turns. So we see that it works and works very efficiently. However, we see that when we compare the results between AI and also human have the tendency to drive the boats very nicely and comfortably compared to the robots. These AI, they don't drive the boat comfortably. They just want to avoid obstacles. So you see that there are lots of spikes here. It's very sensitive. However, if you are putting sensors, if you are putting just sensors, you don't put human there, it's okay. As long as the point is accurate, then that's fine, but not for putting human inside. This is going to be an extension for the work in the future as well, putting the PID in order for us to create more comfortable rides. This is the second case study that I want to show for the underwater object detection. So we try to have an AI that can detect different classes of fishes and localize the label of the fishes in real time. So the method is YOLO and also MobileNet. Why we use MobileNet? Because MobileNet is faster. So this is going to assist a lot of people that works underwater. Underwater is very hard because there are lots of disturbance, there are waves, there are bubbles. So it seems like this AI is able to manage. And it's a 4-minute swimming goldfish videos with 114,000 images. So it has 60-40 validation set and training set. So we see that the performance is very fast and it have the potential to be taken for the real underwater works. For example, for the coral related coral identification underwater in Pulau Bidong in close to UMT. And in conclusion, in this short 15 minutes invited speech, we have seen the basic on the state of the art of the AI. We discussed about the current framework and the complexity. A little bit about neural evolution. What is neural evolution? It's basically genetic algorithm plus artificial neural network. And 2 case studies, which is the autonomous surface vehicle study, the results, the autonomous piloting boats. And also we have looked at the underwater object detection using deep learning, using the cold fish example. So to end this, I would like to thank ICMS so much, the 4th International Conference on Marine Science. So good luck for the rest of the session, and thank you, and back to the Professor Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmad, for a nice presentation. We move to the third presenter. I'd like to invite Dr. Sanin Vanson Liu. He's of ties, population connectivity, conservation biology, fisheries management, also coral reef and macro evolution, marine organism, eDNA. His expertise and achievement. Now he is a professor, associate professor at Department of Marine Biology from 2020 until now. Also assistant professor from Department of Biotechnology Resource, National Janssen University from 2015 until 2020. He also have achieved a 91 academic years Dean Award from College Science. Thank you for your coming. I invite you to present your talk. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Professor Johnson. So let me share my screen. Okay. So can you see the PowerPoint? Can you guys see the PowerPoint?
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Selamat pagi, everyone. And my name is Vincent. I'm from Taiwan. And today I would like to talk about stock identification of silky shark in the Indo-Pacific Ocean. And actually, this study was conducted by my PhD student, Joanne, and collaborate with Professor Tsai from National Kaohsiung University of Science and Technology. Also, is collaborated with one of another PhD student who is from Indonesia, Ajay Munada. Okay, so I would like to start my presentation with the general impression of sharks. So I think most of you may consider shark as like dangerous and harmful species. And when you're swimming in the ocean, if there is a shark around, you may afraid that they will give you a bite. And actually, this stereotype was imprinted by the movie of Zhao. And since of this movie, and when you hear the movie, hear the music of dun 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 dun, then you will feel that maybe there is a great white shark is around who is trying to eat you. So when you actually compare with the number of casualties caused by shark attack with the number of casualties caused by car accident, then you will find something interesting. So the data that I'm showing in this slide is the statistic result of 2020. And as you can see, there were 57 shark attacks around the world and caused 10 fatals. Okay, then we move on to the number of casualties caused by car accident in Taipei City back to 2016, October. So it's monthly. So as you can see, the number of injured is 23,000 plus and caused 55 fatal. So now you may have the conclusion that actually cars and motorcycle and even human are way more dangerous than sharks. So besides, in terms of their functional role in the marine ecosystem, most of them, they are keystone species which can balance the whole food web. And also the predation from sharks can keep the habitat as well as the prey population health because they try to remove those individuals which are sick. So now we know that they are very important to the marine ecosystem, and also they are not as dangerous as we think. However, the fact is their population declined dramatically during the past few decades. So let me take a hammer shark as an example. So during the past few decades, their population dropped almost 90%. So it's a huge drop. And this is basically caused by the overfishing and the ignorance of the public. And for the overfishing part, and it's mainly caused by the effects of bycatch, as well as the huge demand from the shark fin required from Asian country. And for the public, the ignorance of the public, which is related to the stereotype that I mentioned before, because we think they are dangerous and harmful species. So people, like we tend to not care that much if a harmful species population is decreasing in the wild. So therefore, we have to put more effort on their management. I mean, the management of sharks in general to prevent the population crash in the wild in the future. So let's back to our target species, which is silky shark. Silky shark is a widely distributed species across global oceans. And actually, they are one of the species being listed as vulnerable by IUCN, as well as listed as Appendix 2 by CITES, which infer that their population in the wild is shrinking. So they are getting smaller in the wild. So, and on top of their biological feature, such as slow growth and delayed maturation, low fecundity. And this feature make them even harder to recover from overfishing. So in addition, like previous literature show that silky shark is the second dominant species can be found in the shark fin market during the past 2 decades, which means that they have a huge fishing pressure during the past 20 years, even till now. So therefore, we have to actually to do a better management on this species. Indeed, there was a fishing ban in the Atlantic Ocean as well as in the West Pacific Ocean. So currently, fishermen can only catch silky shark from Indian Ocean and East Pacific Ocean. So when we look at the global ocean, actually they are mostly connected. And for the species like silky shark, they have high dispersal capacity, which can travel across different oceans. And based on this scenario, I think we have to understand their stock structure across different oceans, and at the first place to have a better management. Okay, what is stock? Stock refers to a harvest or management unit of fish. It's really a fundamental unit which required before any stock assessment. Sorry. And there are several ways that you can use to identify stock, including by using morphological, behavior, and also maybe parasite composition, as Sonia mentioned like yesterday, as well as genetic approach to identify stock. So I would like to give you a hypothetical example. Like if there is a species A which distributed in Indo-Pacific, however, the species, the population live in Indian Ocean, their mature size is 2 times larger than those in Indian Ocean. Then we can use this trait to identify them as 2 stock, which means there are 2 stock across Indo-Pacific. And so as by using genetic marker can do so. Okay, and in this slide, I'm going to show you a case study conducted by Clark et al. 2015. And they are also focusing on silky shark, and they collect samples from Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean, as well as Atlantic Ocean. But they use mitochondrial genetic marker to reveal their stock structure. And based on their result, they show that there are 2 stock around the global ocean. One is in Western Atlantic, another one is in Indo-Pacific region. However, the mitochondrial DNA evolved very slow. Probably like 1 mutation in thousands of years or even more. So it's very difficult for us to use this kind of genetic marker to review contemporary stock structure. Sorry. Okay, so in this study, we use a hypervariable microcelluloid to study their stock structure across Indo-Pacific. But what is microcelluloid? Microcelluloid is actually a repeated sequence can be found in our genome. And for example, like a CA repeat n times. So the number of repeat can be increased or decreased through DNA duplication. And based on this mechanism, microcelluloid provides higher mutation rate than mitochondrial marker. and which are commonly used to review a contemporary stock structure of fishes. So, okay, in our study, we have a totally 307 sample collected from across Indo-Pacific. We have 160 sample from Pacific and 41 sample from Aceh, Sumatra, and 108 sample were collected from Sri Lanka, and 42 samples were collected from the region close to Madagascar by fishery observer. And samples were extracted for their DNA, and then those DNA were used to genotype with A microcellulosid. And the final genotype data were used to perform several tests, including FST tests, which can review the connectivity pattern, and also assignment tests, as well as DAPC analysis were used to review their stock structure. Okay, let's take a look at this pairwise FST table. So because it's a pairwise FST table, so which involve like two populations, and those pairwise FST values shown in this table, which is in bold, means that there is a significant restricted gene flow between two regions. As you can see here, like the Pacific Ocean is significantly restricted gene flow between these two regions. So overall, most of the pairwise FST values showed restricted gene flow, except the comparison between observer and the population from Sri Lanka. When we look at the comparison between Indonesian population versus rest of the population, you can see that the FST value are 2 times larger than the rest, which means that the gene flow between Indonesia and the rest of the population is highly restricted. So this is a DAPC plot, which is a 2D dimension plot, and each plot indicate the genetic information from one individual, and different color encode the different sampling size. So as you can see, this green-blue star represent an individual from Indonesia, which can clearly separate from the rest, collect from Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. And for those population collect from Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean, they are mainly overlap between each other. However, they are not completely overlap, which means that there are some genetic variation between population. Okay, so let's take a look at the result of assignment test. And as you can see, the population from Indonesia showed a completely genetic difference from other population. And this result is corresponding to the result of FST as well as DAPC result. Then we compare to the previous published study, which is conducted by Clark et al. In 2015 by using mitochondrial DNA. And in their study, they actually collect samples from Andaman Sea, which is very close to Aceh. And they also obtained a sample from Central Pacific. But in their study, by using mitochondrial DNA, they only found a single stop across Indo-Pacific, which is something incongruent with what we found. So our conclusion is mitochondrial marker alone may not reflect the actual contemporary stock structure of silky shark. And silky shark in the Indo-Pacific region should be managed as 2 stock instead of 1. And in the future, there is a need to increase more sampling site across maybe the water of Indonesia to determine the range of Indonesian stock. And in the end, I think in the future, satellite tagging is something that we have to do in order to have some direct evidence to show their dispersal pathway, and which can be used to compare with the connectivity pattern found in our study. Okay, then that's my talk. Thanks for your listening.
Thank you, Dr. Liu, for interesting talk. We move to the next speaker, Dr. Eko Siswanto. Dr. Eko Siswanto graduated from Nagasaki University for doctor degree and master degree. And he graduated from a BSc from Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science, IPB University. His expertise is remote sensing, climate change, also global warming, etc. He have experience and achievement. Now he is fourth lecturer in Yamaguchi University from 2016, from now to now until now. And then he is a deputy of, in Japan, Jamstec, Japan. And also he is a senior lecturer in geospatial from University Technology Malaysia from 12 until 12. And now I invite you for present your talk. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Pak Johnson, for introducing me. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Please.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So yesterday, Professor Indra has led us to understand how important is the ocean observing system in supporting the UN SDGs, especially the goals for number 13 and 14, climate change for life underwater. So in this talk, I will also introduce the Earth observing system, but from the remote sensing technology, and especially from the remote sensing ocean color or optical sensor for monitoring the coastal water. Mainly in this talk, I will focus on the red tide or harmful algae bloom monitoring. Okay, so as you know that the changes in the Earth's surface can be driven or caused by the natural and anthropogenic perturbation. And thanks to the advance of the technology, remote sensing technology, now we are able to measure or monitor many geophysical parameters, okay, like rainfall, aerosol, sea surface height anomaly. So by those technology, then we can understand the changes of the Earth surface and the responsible factors, and also how those changes on the geophysical variable may influence the or marine ecosystem. Okay, and is this proposed that actually we now under the new geological period time, which is we call as the Anthropocene, okay, the period when the human activities are mainly driven the changes of the climate and the ecosystem. Okay, and this is especially true for the Asian coastal waters, okay, because the waters are surrounded by the countries with very high population density. So the Asian coastal waters are not only vulnerable to the climate variability because of their location between the Pacific and the Indian Ocean, but also they are also vulnerable to the human activities because about 40% of the population in the Asian countries are living within the 100 kilometers from the coast. Okay, so they are living in the coast because there are so many benefits that can be gained, like from the industrial, mariculture, okay, tourism. Okay, but those activities finally will have the pressure on the marine environment itself. Okay, because of their activities, then there are a lot of nutrient or inorganic material load to the ocean, and that will cause some serious problem like hypoxia, red tide, or harmful algae bloom. Okay, so yeah, and from the perspective of remote sensing, especially remote sensing of ocean color, the phytoplankton are one of the biological indicators which is commonly used to assess the impact of climate change and the impact of human activities in the marine ecosystem. Okay, so yeah, one of the common problem related caused by the human activities are red tide, or more specifically, scientists call as the harmful algae bloom. So in this slide, I'll show you some maps showing that in the marginal seas like East Tennessee and the South Tennessee, there is a tendency of increasing report of the red tide or harmful algae bloom with time. Okay? And in the Japanese coastal waters, so you can see the area indicated by the pink area here. It is the area which is suffer from the red tide. Almost every year we have red tide even from summer to fall. Okay, and this map is I've taken from the papers of Professor Fukuyo. This is showing the spot of the red tide in the Southeast Asian countries. Okay, we have a serious problem also of red tide in the this region, especially in the Philippine coastal waters, and all of this red tide can cause the common problem like fish mortality, and can have an adverse impact on the industrial and the human as well. So first, what is the red tide? The red tide is a common general term, and the most specifically harmful algae bloom is nothing else but a rapidly growing phytoplankton. Okay, rapidly growing phytoplankton condition, and not always, but usually dominated by the single species of phytoplankton, and the bloom can cause the change of the color of the water. Okay, so this is the general term. And oops. Okay, so if we go to the sea, pond, lakes, or river, we can see very different colors. Sometimes we can see the color in blue, brown, red, okay, green. So those colors are actually determined by the balance between the absorption and backscattering of in-water substance, like can be phytoplankton, suspended sediment, or dissolved organic matter. Okay, so that's why we can have very different color. Okay, and if we have a bloom of phytoplankton, sometimes we can see very beautiful color, like red color here, which is caused by the bloom of dinoflagellate, and white or light blue, which is caused by the coccolith, And the green, very green color caused by the noctiluca, this is also a dinoflagellate. And filament like yellow pattern is caused by the trichodesmium. Okay, so it's depend on the red tide forming species. The water can be very different, can be yellow, red, okay, green. Okay, and regarding the phytoplankton or a bloom forming algae, actually there are very large variation of the phytoplankton that responsible for the red tide, depend on region. For example, in the Japanese coastal waters, we have a common species like mainly from the dinoflagellate, Carenia, okay, Acacio, and Rhodophyte chatonella. And for the Korean waters, the species from a dinoflagellate Coclodinium seems to be more important as a red tide forming algae. And in Thailand, in the northern Gulf of Thailand, we almost have an annual bloom caused by the dinoflagellate Noctiluca scintillans. This is red Noctiluca. And in the Philippine coastal waters, also we have a very serious harmful algae bloom problem caused by the dinoflagellate also. So commonly the red tide is caused by the phytoplankton from the dinoflagellate group. And there is the bloom that is commonly found in the worldwide, which is the bloom caused by the dinoflagellate Noctiluca. Okay, so I took this picture from the papers of Harrison. So yeah, the bloom of Noctiluca scintillant can be found especially in the Southeast Asian countries caused by the green Noctiluca. Okay, so I will show some case of studies in the Gulf of Thailand. And one of the algorithm to detect the bloom of the Noctiluca, in this case green Noctiluca, is proposed by Dwivedi. So this is the spectral shape or remote sensing reflectance in situ reflectance during the bloom of Noctiluca scintillant in the Arabian Sea. So they found that when they have a bloom of the Noctiluca scintillant, so there is a increasing slope from the blue to the red band. So this is the unique characteristic of the color of the water when we have a bloom of Noctiluca scintillant. Okay, so based on this spectral shape, then they try to propose the algorithm to detect the bloom of the green Noctiluca. So using this separation based on the difference of the wavelength bands at certain band. So I'm not going into detail of this method. So this is a case study in the northern Gulf of Thailand. We have almost annual bloom of a green Noctiluca in the northern Gulf of Thailand. Okay, so this is the image from the satellite and from the field when we have a bloom of green Noctiluca. So from the Landsat, we can see very clear the dark green. So this is confirmed from the field observation. This is caused by the bloom of green Noctiluca. This is the responsible species of Noctiluca pictures. Okay. So by applying this method, I simply apply this method. So we can see that the method can detect the Noctiluca bloom indicated by the red area here. Okay, so it's approximately the same area with the color, a green color in the RGB images. Okay, and yeah, and this is actually we have a lot of data set that we are still under a study to verify the bloom of the Noctiluca in the northern Gulf of Thailand. So this is the example of the Noctiluca bloom in the Arabian Sea. And okay, I already 15 minutes past. So I just speed up my presentation. So here I use a new data set to verify my algorithm to detect the dinoflagellate bloom in the Seto Inland Sea. So sometimes we can see the algorithm work well, but sometimes it doesn't work well. That is because of a different data set, and that's why we need to verify with the new data set. Okay, so although the Asian coastal water are vulnerable to the red tide or harmful algae bloom, so far we don't have a real-time monitoring system for coastal water. Okay, so now we are under developing the real-time monitoring system for the Asian coastal waters to assess or to monitor the red tide or harmful algae bloom in this area. So in the future, we from this platform we can get easily the data of red tide and the input data for estimating the algorithm like remote sensing reflectance. Okay, so we are under developing this monitoring system, and especially we'll try to introduce the high resolution data set, which is very important for the coastal water monitoring. So we will introduce the SGLI, Japanese SGLI data with the 250 meters. So if you compare with the MODIS data, you can see that we can see very clear coastal variability in for example, Tokyo Bay, Manila Bay, and Jakarta Bay. So in the future, we will put this data set into the system so that we can do monitoring the coastal water in the more accurate. Okay, so as a conclusion, okay, so the coastal waters are in the Asian coastal water because of the location between the Pacific and Indian Ocean, not only sensitive to the climate change, but also sensitive to the human activities because of surrounded by the countries with a high density of population. And one of the common problems caused by the human activities is the red tide or harmful algae bloom. However, so far, there's no real-time monitoring system for observing the red tide, especially with the high resolution, 250 meters. And that's why in the future, we would like to introduce the high resolution data to the system. For example, by introducing the Korean GOSI-2 and the Japanese SGLI. Okay, and yeah, there is still some problem, but because of estimating the red tide in the coastal water also very challenging because of the failure of the atmospheric correction and the complex optical properties in the coastal waters. Okay, I think that is my talk, Pak Johnson.
Thank you, Pak Eko Siswanto, for a nice presentation. Due to time limitation, we move to the last speaker, Dr. Agus from IVB. His expertise physical oceanography. He graduated from Sorbonne University, France, and master degree also from France, and Bachelor of Science from IVB. He expertise and achievement now is develop research and higher education and program, develop high competence human resource in marine science, develop collaborating research and networking, faculty coordinator for international cooperation and strategic study. Also, he is Secretary of Department Marine Science Technology last event. And also he have many crews like collaborate with Japan, IFREMER, Australia, and so on. I invite you to present your talk. Time is yours.
Thank you, Professor Johnson. Try to share my presentation. So, can you see this slide?
Okay, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished invited speakers, and also all participants. I wish in this morning, hope you happy, healthy, and wealthy to attending these seminars. So this is my talk regarding the oceanic responses to the ENSO, El Nino Southern Oscillation in Indonesian seas. So this is some like a short review from the previous research, and also I propose some new idea to look at this phenomena. And starting this presentation with this figure, I think it's very famous. This figure, we can see here the three different conditions in the Pacific Ocean during normal condition, El Nino, and also La Nina. So when this work, El Nino or La Nina, so the Pacific Ocean also responds to these dynamics as well as Indonesian Sea. And this lower figure showing the geographical region of the ENSO indexes and Southern Ocean Index was used to predict and to quantify the phenomena above here. For example, here Nino 3 and 4 is very common use for to compare with the phenomena of the ENSO in Nino 4, 3, 2, 1, etc. So and also the second is the Southern Oscillation Index. For example, the difference of pressure gradient, pressure surface pressure between Tahiti and Darwin, and we call this SOI index and Nino 3-4 index. So we will show you some this index in the next figure, the next slide. Here, for example, the time series of the indexes. For example, the upper part here, the Southern Oscillation Index, and the lower part is the Nino index. So, for example, here, if the Southern index negative, this means the El Nino condition, this one, and this is contrast to the Nino 3-4. This is positive, and we call it this warm phase. Warm phase. This means the El Nino, because propagation of the warm pool waters here move eastward here. So during El Nino condition here, for example, when the trade winds weaken and also reverse the atmospheric circulation, and the active convective will move to the central, even eastern equatorial Pacific. And we look at the ocean component here. We can see this is the thermocline. During the normal, this is a deepen, but during El Nino, this is the shallowing. So move shallowing to this one. And even this upwelling here disappear during this period. So this is contrast to the La Nina condition. This is like more intense, more stronger compared to the normal condition, when the thermocline tilt slope much greater, and also upwelling here much stronger. And of course here the warm water in the western side with the more active convection here. So regarding the phenomena interannual variability in the Pacific Ocean, this is because very close to the Indonesian region, the maritime continent, and also there exists the true flow here system. So the fluctuation in the Pacific on interannual scale also will impact to the fluctuation in the Indonesian seas. So, for example, this is the transfer from the western and eastern, and we can see during the El Nino, for example, the transport of the true flow decrease. So we will see here. For example, this is from reference Gordon 19 in Makassar Strait. You can see here, this is the depth and time from 2004-17. Here, for example, during La Nina 2020, we can see the velocity maximum be much deeper and also much stronger. This means we calculate should be the transport. That means during La Nina, transport through flow through the Makassar Strait become much stronger. Yeah. This contrasts to during El Nino. This is shallower and weaker of the flow, so we calculate the transport become much weaker. And also in the Banda Sea, we can see here during El Nino and La Nina, there is a decrease in sea level. Decrease in sea level. This means divergence much stronger. And also compared to transport here during La Nina, for example, La Nina 2010, the transport become much stronger here. Yeah, this is for example, just two example how the ocean in Indonesian responds to the ENSO. Another example here, for example, this is the last recent of research from WHO. In northern Maluku Sea, we can see here this mooring observation from 2008 to 2017. For example, during La Nina here, this is the index, the colors is index, and the response of the ocean during this La Nina 2010 is with much stronger of the flow. Yeah. And contrast to the El Nino 2015. And also, this is one research here in Banggai upwelling. We can see here, for example, during La Nina and El Nino 2015, we can see the very contrast difference when the response of El Nino is much stronger compared to the La Nina. With the intensity here, for example, plus 0.727 and minus 0.5. So the last example here, for example, in the southern Java, we can see how the upwelling changed during El Nino and La Nina. For example, in case of the La Nina 2010, we can see the upwelling here is like a suppressed or decreased very much because temperature here much warmer compared to the El Nino 2015 here. And also look at the current structure here, zonal structure. There exists a much stronger the South Java current during La Nina 2015. And the last regarding the fluctuation of the fishery production, fish lemuru production in here in Bali Strait, this is from Satibu, we can see there's also the increase of the fish lemuru production during El Nino. Yeah. This is in case of El Nino 2006. So in this talk, I would like to just focus how to contrast the ocean response during La Nina 2010 and El Nino 2015. So here, for example, the El Nino index, yeah, we can see very strong La Nina and El Nino, sorry, this is no here. El Nino and La Nina. So I just focus this one. I use a model output dataset from Indeso. Just simple to take the transect here, the Pacific zona and Meridiana, to cross the Mindanao current and also the current system coming from the Southern Pacific. And also Cebu here and Karimata, and also here in the Eastern Indian Ocean, between Southern Bali to Australia. So to cut also here the through flow exiting to Indian Ocean. The question is very simple. Why ITF transport volume decreased during El Nino? Because we can see from the transport in Makassar, there is a very good correlation between fluctuation of the transport in interannual scale with the El Nino. And also why upwelling intensify during El Nino? For example, here in Southern Java. So I would like to attempt to understand just this contrast. And this talk, I would like to remind the idea in this dipole beyond of this study. So I not consider during this talk. So this is a figure showing you the first one is the energy kinetic with the log scale here. This is just simple square of the zona meridional current. And the second one here, the lower part is the temperature at 100 meter. I took the 100 meter because this is much differ from previous studies showing that much stronger signature of internal variability is in the deeper layer. However, in surface layer also you can look at detect the variability. For example, here we can see from the circulation, schematic circulation, Pacific Western Boundary Current System. We can see here Mindanao Current, Halmahera Edis, New North got a counter current. This is also New Guinea from the southern part. And this is, we can see the pathway of the through flow and flowing to the Indonesian Ocean. So from Lombok and so Ombay and Timor. If you compare, just look at a very rapid comparison between this is La Nina and El Nino. We can see this is during El Nino, the western boundary current in Pacific is much stronger, become much stronger. We can see the estimate of this transport, and also in the lower part here, there's developed the cooler water here in between the northern and the southern part. And in southern Java, we can see very, very strong upwelling with showing the very colder waters here compared to the La Nina. Yeah, La Nina's, even we have the colder waters, but compared to this figure is very strong. Then I try to look at the transport estimate between this transect I showed you before. And this is plot just to show you only example for two in Pacific, two in the ocean. And we filter out, and so just to present the interannual variability here, we can see this panel. The upper part here is this index, Nino T4. So La Nina and El Nino in this case 2010-15. And this is Pacific Ocean crossing the Mindanao current, Pacific Ocean crossing the counter current, Indian Ocean crossing the South Java, and Indian Ocean crossing the southern part, and Karimata and Sulawesi. So if we compare to this appropriation of the Nino T4, we can see this is very interesting. In Western Pacific, this is like leading the signal. This means earlier can be detected the El Nino in the Western Pacific, and also in the southern part here. And Indian Ocean also, as we can see here, the like leg to this signal. This I think is normal, and also in southern part here. So I will look at the next slide for this quantity of this fluctuation. This bit, and also this is during El Nino. During El Nino is much stronger, similar to a correlation between Nino index here with the transport fluctuation in this region. That means the response is much stronger compared to this index. And then, so I tried to look at this much detail here during La Nina 2010, look at the vertical structure of the current. So just remind you here, the cross-section Pacific, Zona Meridiana, so represented by here. And also in southern Java, Zona Meridiana represented by here. So this is, as I showed you before, this is the structure of Mindanao current. And this is a counter current, and this is from the southern New Guinea coastal current and undercurrent. This is very clear structure of this current system. And also in Indian Ocean side, you can see here the ITF representing with very strong current here, and South Java undercurrent, and this is very strong also, but very near to the coast, South Java current here, and Eastern current. And here we can see during the La Nina, as I told before, the Pacific is much weaker compared to the El Nino. So look at this slide. During El Nino, we can see the New Guinea, this is counter current become very strong. Yeah. Even also the Mindanao current is very strong, and New Guinea undercurrent is very strong. And also because this is the exit of the through flow, we can see the through flow is much weaker during this area. We can see the structure of the carbon, and here, for example, the South Java current is much weaker compared to the La Nina. And here, just to show you the estimate of the transport variability balance. Yeah. For example, here left side during La Nina condition. Yeah. We can see the transfer from the Mindanao is around 18, and exit to the counter current around 7. So difference is about 11 here. It's very effective. And small from Sibutu, small 0.6 from Karimata, and the total, the balance is about 11 or 12, something 12. Yeah, and the exit also something 12. This is during La Nina. So the transport in this case, 2010, the transport of the through flow exiting the Indian Ocean is around the order of 12 sphere drop. Yeah. Now look at this right side. During El Nino 15, we can see the Mindanao coast is 2 times double, around 2 times double. So see, this is 18, 34. It's double, much stronger the Mindanao current. But the exit to the counter current also strong, 20, around 29. And this is 4 times compared to this ones. This is around 7, this is around 28. This is 4 times much stronger. So the net transport into Indonesian Sea is about only 5.5. Very small compared to this is around 11, this is 0.5, but there is also very significant supply from the Sulu Sea. This is around 2.2 sphere drop, and this is from Karimata is quite similar. So the total is around 8 sphere drop, and exit to Indonesia around 8. So we got difference between La Nina and El Nino. This is around 3.8 sphere drop. What implication of this deficit of the transport ITF to the Indian Ocean? We can see here, for example, to show you the temperature stratification. Yeah, during La Nina, because the truth is very strong. This is like suppressed. So the isotherm thermocline depth is much deeper. So much deeper, and for example, here the upper part, the isotherm 26 axis around this region, and this is implied to the weak upwelling compared to this. Because the El Nino weaken, this is compensated by the upflip the thermocline depth. So this will imply to the much stronger of the upwelling. So this is just a simple explanation why during the upwelling during the El Nino, the upwelling in southern Java or some part in Renaissance is much stronger. So in the first slide, you can see when during La Nina, when the thermocline depths treated like much stronger, but during El Nino, this is become much lessened to the surface. So this concluding remark, the transport volume ITF during El Nino decrease, because supply of the drastic increase Mindanao current is retrofractive much mainly in eastward into north countercurrent. And also contribution transfer from Cebu to Pasar from Sulusi is significant during El Nino. And the second, in upwelling intensity in Indonesian seas enhanced during El Nino, associated with deficit of transport volume, this number. And which this is compensated by shallowing thermocline layer so that upwell cool but rich waters reach much closer to the surface. So if you look at from surface detected from the satellite, we can see the temperature is much cooler, and much cooler during this period. So thank you, Professor Johnson, from this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agus, for a nice talk. Thank you for all speakers for interesting and comprehensive presentation in marine science and technology field. Now time to discuss, but because time limitation, maybe we have only one round discussion, maybe only 15 minutes, because we already actually, according to committee, time already limit, but we can discuss. Yeah, please, if you have a question, please raise hand, and also maybe you can chat in chat column. A lot of people here, maybe more than 100. I think I thought very interesting. Do you have question? Maybe I have question. Waiting for questioner to Dr. Padli. How the impact of tomography maybe, for example, one piece maybe more. I mean, measurement more than one times. My background not acoustic.
Yeah. Understand, Professor Johnson. Yeah, you are right. The resolution, spatial resolution, very much depended by the numbers of the instrument we use. At least we need two, but this is only one single line. So in order to have like the angle, we need three. So the spatial resolution will increase with the numbers of the sensor we use.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe from acoustic scientist from IPB, there is no question. We have two participants right hands. Please, okay, three participants. Please directly your question refer to all presenter.
Flimin.
Sorry. Maybe you have problem with voice. Sorry, maybe Muhammad Firdaus, please. Still mute, still mute, still mute.
Okay. Thank you, moderator. I have question for Mr. Agus Atmadipura. Mr. Agus Atmadipura said in Indian Ocean transport volume La Nina 2010 is 11.90 square drop, and El Nino in Indonesian volume transport is 8.10. My question is why the transport total volume in La Nina is bigger than El Nino in Indonesian throughput 2015? What is the causes? Thank you.
Please, Dr. Agus, maybe still mute.
Thank you. I mean the direct response. Okay, thank you very much, Pak Johnson, and also the question from Mas Firdaus. As I explained, because the classification recurrent system during El Nino is much water transported to the Pacific back, to be much stronger the counter current, and the rest entering Indonesian seas about I think so, about six spare drop, but 2 spare drop coming from the Sulu, so it's around 8 spare drop. Compared to the La Nina in the Western Pacific, the Southward Mindanao current is very effective, very effective because the exiting to the counter currents are very small. So the rest entering the Indonesian seas are around 9. So that is the explanation. So dynamics in the Western Pacific. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Agus. Maybe Mrs. Gina, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, hi, I'm Gina from IPB University. I would like to ask Associate Professor Ahmad Faisal, and because I have a big interest on AI to develop technology on marine, but when I study AI, there are some people that say sometimes people can only using simple algorithm than using AI for the technology. So this is my question is, when we actually have to use AI on a technology, and when we have to use that basic algorithm. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam Gina, for the question. So in artificial intelligence, we have several different algorithms. For example, you can use machine learning for clustering data, or artificial neural network. If you want to create regression, or even you can also cluster data using artificial neural network. So there are two things. If you are running classification of clustered data, then you use machine learning. But if you want generalized, for example, identification of object underwater, so if you are trying to identify objects that have very various shapes that you need to generalize, so the best is to use artificial neural network. So artificial neural network can also have shallow layer and also deep layers. And it's for a researcher that using AI, it is one of the interesting things is to try to simulate which one is the most accurate. You can have shallow to the deepest layer, but eventually you are going to discover that there are middle ground where you don't necessarily need to create very complicated neural network. So sometimes a very simple neural network can solve your problem. So as long as your error is small, then it's good enough for you to proceed with your research. So no point to create very complicated ENN framework and have your results very, very far from the prediction. So that's my comment. Thank you, Gina.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmad. I think the last question from Hasti, please.
Okay, thank you, sir, for the chance. I want to give question to Mr. Agus Atmadipura. Thank you, Mr. Agus, for the good presentation. Very informative for me. I want to ask related to the ITF that affected by ENSO. Is it possible to predict ENSO by using or monitoring the ITF condition? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, Bu Hasti. So I think as I saw you before in the slide, we take the transect in Makassar, in Sulu, in Karimata, and eastern parts. So there's a response, very well correlation between the fluctuation of transport on interannual scale through the ENSO index. So this is a very perspective for the next work to look at more detail in this correlation and to take the prediction as well. And I would like to highlight it that the deeper part is better to look at even at the recent observation at the surface, and also the array of the mooring, the surface observation to predict and combine with the model to predict the El Nino. But also we look at the deeper part also, we can see the very good correlation between transport of Arindo and the ENSO. That's a very prospective and very challenging. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Thank you. Due to time limitation, since finished for all presentation and productive discussion, thank you very much for all presenter or speaker, and also for audience. At the end of decision, I would like as a moderator to invite you to give a big applause for all presenter, amazing presenter. Thank you.
Fadli, how are you?
I return. Sorry.
Fadli, how are you?
Yeah, good, bagus. Glad to see you here in virtual, and also Mr. Eko.
Okay, thank you again. Maybe we will continue discuss in another times, because I think very fruitful discussion and a presentation today. I return the time to the host, please.
All right, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate our invited speakers for spending time with us today. The committee have the certificate of appreciation for all of the speakers. We appreciate Professor Dr. Fadli Shamsuddin from Pajajaran University for sharing your valuable insights.
Thank you.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Ahmad Faisal from University Malaysia Terengganu for being here with us. We appreciate Dr. Xiangyin Fanson Liu from National Sun Yat-sen University, Taiwan. Thank you for sharing the knowledge at this conference.
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama. We appreciate Dr. Eko Siswanto from Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology.
Yeah,
thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to participate in this event, and I hope we can meet physically 2 years after this in the real meeting in Indonesia. I hope. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Eko. Thank you, Dr. Agus Atmadipura from IBB University for attending this conference. We're glad to see you here.
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama. The certificate is also given to our respected moderator, Professor Dr. Johnson Lumban-Gaul. Professor Dr. Johnson Lumban-Gaul, we appreciate your time and effort to lead this conference.
Thank you very much.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the committee have prepared some rooms for each of you. Hence, we hope you can join the room based on the schedule that has been given to you. This conference is supported by Telkomsel and APRI. We'd like to thank them for the wonderful support. We appreciate Telkomsel and APRI for making the ICMS happen. We are proudly to present you the interesting videos about our supporters.
Terinspirasi dari kucingnya, seorang musisi yang tak pernah sukses bikin lagu dan viral. Disiulin sama peternak sapi yang bikin susunya banyak, dijual online, laku keras, diminum sama gamer yang menang kompetisi, dia bikin dance, viral. Seorang tukang pecel juga nariin, dia diajak main film. Dan filmnya laku keras.
Gimana rasanya?
Buka semua peluang. Terinspirasi dari kucingnya, seorang musisi yang tak pernah sukses bikin lagu dan viral. Disiulin sama peternak sapi yang bikin susunya banyak, dijual online, laku keras, diminum sama gamer yang menang kompetisi, dia bikin dance, viral. Seorang tukang pecel juga nariin, dia diajak main film. Dan filmnya laku keras.
Gimana rasanya?
Buka semua peluang. Ini Adit, dari kecil udah bikin 200 lagu yang denger cuman keluarganya, tetangga, dan kucing piaraannya yang suka rengginang. Malam itu, dia bikin lagu, unggah ke internet, lalu duar, viral. Ini Firdaus, bapaknya petani kaya, tapi cuman warisin dia sapi-sapi stres. Ternyata lagu Adit punya nada yang bikin sapi rileks banget. Tak lama, Firdaus jualan online. Langsung sold out di mana-mana. Susu Firdaus juga diminum Tika yang bukan cuma kasih dia tenaga, tapi juga api membara. Dan sekalipun dilakuin semua orang, termasuk Nenek Anissa. Saya mau dia main film kita.
Nenek Anissa, nonton film sejutaan, gimana rasanya?
Buka semua peluang. Ini Adit, dari kecil udah bikin 200 lagu yang denger cuman keluarganya, tetangga, dan kucing piaraannya yang suka rengginang. Malam itu, dia bikin lagu, unggah ke internet, lalu duar, viral. Ini Firdaus, bapaknya petani kaya, tapi cuman warisin dia sapi-sapi stres. Ternyata lagu Adit punya nada yang bikin sapi rileks banget. Tak lama, Firdaus jualan online. Langsung sold out di mana-mana. Susu Firdaus juga diminum Tika yang bukan cuma kasih dia tenaga, tapi juga api membara. Dan sekalipun dilakuin semua orang, termasuk Nenek Anissa. Saya mau dia main film kita.
Nenek Anissa, nonton film sejutaan, gimana rasanya?
Buka semua peluang. Terinspirasi dari kucingnya, seorang musisi yang tak pernah sukses bikin lagu dan viral. Disiulin sama peternak sapi yang bikin susunya banyak, dijual online, laku keras, diminum sama gamer yang menang kompetisi, dia bikin dance, viral. Seorang tukang pecel juga nariin, dia diajak main film. Dan filmnya laku keras.
Gimana rasanya?
Buka semua peluang. Ini Adit, dari kecil udah bikin 200 lagu yang denger cuma keluarganya, tetangga, dan kucing piaraannya yang suka rengginang. Malam itu, dia bikin lagu, unggah ke internet, lalu duar, viral. Ini Firdaus, bapaknya petani kaya, tapi cuma warisin dia sapi-sapi stres. Ternyata lagu Adit punya nada yang bikin sapi rileks banget. Tak lama, Firdaus jualan online. Langsung sold out di mana-mana. Susu Firdaus juga diminum Tika yang bukan cuma kasih dia tenaga, tapi juga api membara. Dance sekalipun dilakuin semua orang, termasuk Nenek Anissa. Saya mau dia main film kita.
Nenek Anissa, nonton film sudah jutaan. Gimana rasanya?
Buka semua peluang.
Muhammad Jumadi adalah satu dari sekitar 700 nelayan rajungan di pulau ini. Setiap pagi ia pergi melaut menarik bubu atau perangkap rajungan yang telah ia pasang kemarin.
Jadi alat tangkap perikanan rajungan, salah satunya bubu, banyak dioperasikan di perikanan rajungan di Indonesia. Bentuk bubu ini juga bermacam-macam. Ada yang berbentuk kubah, ada yang bentuk bujur sangkar, dan ada yang bisa dilipat dan tidak dilipat. Jika dibandingkan dengan alat tangkap yang lain, bubu termasuk yang sangat sedikit tangkapan sampingannya dan juga tidak akan menangkap tangkapan sampingan yang termasuk endangered ataupun protected karena dia memang celahnya kecil yang hanya dikhususkan untuk rajungan.
Besarnya potensi dan pemanfaatan rajungan di Indonesia mendorong Asosiasi Pengelolaan Rajungan Indonesia atau APRI terus melakukan perbaikan pada perikanan rajungan.
FIP atau Fishery Improvement Project atau program pengembangan perikanan rajungan di Indonesia ini adalah perangkat yang digunakan untuk memantau apakah aktivitas perikanan kita ini termasuk lestari atau tidak.
Kementerian Perencanaan Pembangunan Nasional atau Bappenas dan United Nations Development Program UNDP melalui proyek Global Sustainable Supply Chain for Marine Commodities mendukung percepatan FIP rajungan yang dikoordinir oleh APRI ini.
Dari dalam FIP ini akan dipantau tentang status stoknya, terus dampak terhadap lingkungan dan habitat lainnya, dan juga program pengelolaannya. Jadi ini akan melibatkan dari tingkat nasional, provinsi sampai ke daerah, sampai desa.
Salah satu kunci dari perbaikan perikanan ini adalah pendataan.
Kerja saya di sini mencatat hasil tangkapan nelayan, mulai dari biologinya terkait panjang, berat, dan jenis kelaminnya, itu kita data semua. Kita juga mengumpulkan data NTS, non-target species, untuk keperluan pengkajian stok di perikanan rajungan. Itu untuk melihat masih layak nggak rajungan ini ditangkap atau daerah ini masih layak nggak untuk dilakukan aktivitas penangkapan rajungan.
APRI juga menerapkan kontrol dokumen untuk memastikan ketelusuran produk.
Nah, kontrol dokumen ini ada semacam dokumen yang akan jalan dari rantai titik terbawah sampai ke ekspor. Ini penting untuk mengetahui dari proses ketertelusuran tadi.
Kontrol dokumen itu kita lakukan memang tujuannya ada dua, yaitu mengenai traceability dan ujungnya sustainability. Dengan traceability maka pihak konsumen diharapkan bisa mengetahui dari mana bahan baku rajungan itu ditangkap, nanti kemudian menggunakan kapal dengan ukuran berapa, ya kan? Dari alat tangkap seperti apa. Jadi semuanya itu terrekord.
Tujuan dari sertifikasi eco-label seperti MSC itu sebenarnya pertama adalah kita memastikan bahwa kita sudah dalam ranah sustainability. Terus yang kedua adalah meningkatkan kepercayaan kepada para buyer terhadap rajungan yang berasal dari Indonesia. Terus yang ketiga meningkatkan mutu dan juga value.
Tidak hanya menjadi produk unggulan nasional, perikanan rajungan juga menjadi tumpuan ekonomi bagi ratusan ribu masyarakat pesisir.
Jadi pengelolaan perikanan rajungan di Indonesia itu harus kolaboratif, inklusif. Memastikan kita sudah punya harvest strategi, mengajak nelayan untuk tetap mematuhi aturan pemerintah dan menangkap dengan alat ramah lingkungan.
Saya mengharapkan stakeholder industri rajungan di Indonesia ini kompak, karena dengan demikian maka kita bisa memperbaiki stok rajungan yang ada di laut. Harapannya rajungan bisa sustainable.
Di sini hampir semua masyarakat Padelegan ini bekerja di pemrosesan rajungan, terutama perempuan. Rajungan ini sudah bagian dari keluarga saya sih, Mas. Bekerja di pemrosesan rajungan ini. Karena dia banyak membantu ekonomi keluarga saya. Bisa menyekolahkan anak-anak, bisa biayain kebutuhan rumah tangga.
Rajungan sekeli cek kan tak beki kala lekas cepet raja deh. Mun raja kan bisa kala boleh benelayan kan bisa tetempeng. Mun ni keni rajungan tak bisa tempeng deh.
Dari tahun 2006 saya sudah pakai alat tangkap bubuh karena soalnya bubuh itu enak, simple lah. Sederhana, bisa milih-milih rajungan yang kecil dan yang besar. Soalnya yang kecil itu bisa dibuang, nanti kan nelayan itu punya harapan ke depannya.
Alhamdulillah, ini ada lagi Mas.
Harapan saya, para pelaku usaha rajungan itu secara kompak melakukan sustainable fishing di Indonesia. Kenapa harus kompak? Karena perairan Indonesia itu sangat luas. Tidak mungkin hanya satu atau dua pihak yang secara aktif melakukan program-program tersebut.
Laut dan isinya adalah bagian dari hidup kita. Dan untuk memastikan isinya itu dia tetap terjaga, itu adalah tugas kita untuk anak cucu kita ke depan. Semoga apa yang telah kita lakukan ini menjadi inspirasi untuk perempuan-perempuan yang ada di dunia, terutama di industri perikanan.